Hey everyone, welcome to this live session by SimplyLearn. In today's session, we'll help you understand the different skills required for you to land yourself a job in the Big Data and Hadoop field. But before we proceed, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to never miss an update. Also, there's going to be a quiz at the end of the session, and the lucky winner will get an Amazon voucher. So stay tuned for that. For all the viewers watching this session through Facebook, please leave your questions in the chat. I will answer your questions. Now let's jump in and see what's in store for us. Firstly, we'll look at what big data is, the challenges that were involved with big data. Then we'll understand the need for Hadoop and Spark. After that, we will look into the various job roles in the field of big data. You can also see the companies hiring big data professionals in 2020. Lastly, we'll look at how SimplyLearn can help you become a big data professional. So let's start off with our first topic, what is big data? Back in the early 2000s, there was relatively less data generated, but with the rise of various social media platforms and multinational companies across the globe, the generation of data has increased by leaps and bounds. According to the IDC, the total volume of data is expected to reach 175 zettabytes in 2025. That's a lot of data. So we can define big data as a massive amount of data which cannot be stored, processed, and analyzed using the traditional ways. Let's now have a look at the challenges with respect to big data. The first challenge with big data is its storage. Storing big data is not easy as the data generation is endless. In addition to this, storing unstructured data in our traditional databases is a great challenge. Unstructured data refers to data such as photographs and videos. The second challenge was processing big data. Data is only useful to us if it is processed and analyzed. Processing big data consumes a lot of time due to its size and structure. To overcome these challenges of big data, we have various frameworks such as Hadoop, Cassandra, and Spark. Let us have a quick look at Hadoop and Spark. So what is Hadoop? It is a framework that stores big data in a distributed way and processes it parallelly. How do you think Hadoop does this? Well, Hadoop uses a distributed file system known as Hadoop Distributed File System to store big data. If you have a huge file, your file will be broken down into smaller chunks and stored in various machines. This is why it is termed as distributed storage. MapReduce is the processing unit of Hadoop. Here, we have multiple machines working parallelly to process big data. Thanks to this technique, the processing becomes easy and fast. Let's now move on to Spark. Spark is a framework that is responsible for processing data both in batches and in real time. Spark is used to analyze data across various clusters of computers. Now that you have understood big data, Hadoop, and Spark, let's look into a few of the different job roles in this domain. Career opportunities in this field are limitless as organizations are using big data to enhance their products, business decisions, and marketing effectiveness. So here we will understand in depth as to how to become a big data engineer. In addition to this, we will also look into the various skills required to become a Hadoop developer, Spark developer, and a big data architect. Starting off with the big data engineer role. Do you know who a big data engineer is? Well, big data engineers are professionals who develop, maintain, test, and evaluate a company's big data infrastructure. They have several responsibilities. Firstly, they are responsible for designing and implementing software systems. They verify and maintain these systems for the ingestion and processing of data. They build robust systems. Extract, transform, load, operations known as the ETL process is carried out by big data engineers. They also research various new methods to obtain data and improve its quality. Big data engineers are also responsible for building data architectures that meet the business requirements. They provide a solution by integrating various tools and programming languages. In addition to the above responsibilities, their primary responsibility is to mine data from plenty of different sources to build efficient business models. Lastly, they also work closely with data architects, data scientists, and data analysts. Those are quite a lot of responsibilities. Let us now have a look at the skills required to achieve these responsibilities. As you can see on your screens, we have listed the top 7 skills needed to be possessed by a big data engineer. Starting off, the essential skill is programming. A big data engineer needs to have hands-on experience in any one of the programming languages such as Java, C++, or Python. As a big data engineer, you should also have in-depth knowledge of DBMS and SQL. This is because you have to understand how data is managed and maintained in a database. Hence, you need to know how to write SQL queries for any RDBMS systems. Some of the commonly used database management systems for big data engineering are MySQL, Oracle Database, and the Microsoft SQL Server. As mentioned earlier, carrying out an ETL operation is a big data engineer's responsibility. Now you need to know how to construct as well as use a data warehouse so that you can perform these ETL operations. As a big data engineer, you will be continuously tasked with extracting data from various sources, transforming them into meaningful information, and loading it into other data storages. Some of the tools used for this purpose are Talent, IBM DataStage, Pentaho, and Informatica. Next up, we have the fourth skill that you require, which is knowledge about operating systems. Big data tools run on operating systems, hence a sound understanding of Unix, Linux, Windows, and Solaris is mandatory. The fifth skill that you require is to have experience with Hadoop-based analytics. Since Hadoop is one of the most commonly used big data engineering tools, it's understood that you need to have experience with Apache Hadoop-based technologies like HDFS, MapReduce, Apache Pig, Hive, and Apache HBase. The sixth skill that you require is to have worked with real-time processing frameworks like Apache Spark. As a big data engineer, you would deal with large volumes of data. So for this, you need an analytics engine like Spark, which can be used for both batch and real-time processing. Spark can process live streaming data from several different sources like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. And now we are at our final skill requirement, which is to have experience with data mining and data modeling. As a big data engineer, you would have to examine massive pre-existing data so that you can discover patterns and new information. This will help you create predictive models that will help you make various business decisions. Some of the tools used for this are R, RapidMiner, Weka, and NIME. Now let's talk about a big data engineer's salary. In the US, a big data engineer's average annual salary is around $102,000 per annum. In India, a big data engineer makes about 7 lakh rupees per annum. That was all about our first role, big data engineer. Moving on to our second role, we have Hadoop developer. As the name suggests, a Hadoop developer looks into the coding and programming of the various Hadoop applications. This job role is more or less similar to that of a software developer. Moving on to the skills required to become a Hadoop developer, at first it is a knowledge of the Hadoop ecosystem. A Hadoop developer should have in-depth knowledge about the Hadoop ecosystem and its components, which include HBase, Pig, Scoop, Flume, Oozie, etc. You should also have data modeling experience with OLAP and OLTP. Knowledge of SQL is required. Like a big data engineer, a Hadoop developer must also know popular tools like Pentaho, Informatica, and Talent. Finally, you should also be well versed in writing Pig Latin scripts and MapReduce jobs. The average annual salary of a Hadoop developer in the US is nearly $76,000 per annum. In India, a Hadoop developer makes approximately 4,57,000 rupees per annum. Moving to our third job role, we have Spark developer. We saw what Spark is. Now let's understand what a Spark developer does. Spark developers create Spark jobs using Python or Scala for data aggregation and transformation. They also write analytics code and design data processing pipelines. A Spark developer needs to have the following skills. They need to know Spark and its components such as Spark Core, Spark Streaming, Spark Machine Learning Library, etc. They should also know the scripting languages like Python or Perl. Just like the previous job roles, a Spark developer should also have basic knowledge of SQL queries and a database structure. In addition to the above, a Spark developer is also expected to have a fairly good understanding of Linux and its commands. Moving to the average annual salary of a Spark developer, it is nearly $81,000 per annum in the US. In India, a Spark developer earns nearly 5,87,000 rupees per annum. Let's now move on to our final job role, that is Big Data Architect. So let's understand who a Big Data Architect is. Well, a Big Data Architect is a professional who is responsible for designing and planning big data systems. They also manage large-scale development and deployment of Hadoop applications. Moving on to the skills required to become a Big Data Architect, first up, the individual must have advanced data mining and data analysis skills. Big Data Architects should also be able to implement and use a NoSQL database and cloud computing techniques. They must also have an idea of various big data technologies like Hadoop, MapReduce, HBase, Hive, and so on. Finally, Big Data Architects must hold experience with Agile and Scrum frameworks. Let's now have a look at the average annual salary of a Big Data Architect in the United States and India. In the US, a Big Data Architect earns a whopping $118,000 per annum. Meanwhile, in India, a Big Data Architect makes nearly 19 lakh rupees per annum. These are huge numbers, right? So now that we have understood the job roles of a Big Data Engineer, Hadoop developer, Spark developer, and a Big Data Architect, let us have a look at the companies hiring these professionals. As you all can see on your screens, we have IBM, Amazon, American Express, Netflix, Microsoft, and Bosch, to name a few. Now let's get to the exciting part. Here's an easy question for you to answer. Which of the following statements is true about Apache Spark? Here are the options. A. Spark processes data in batches. B. Spark processes data in real time. C. Spark processes data in both batches and real time. D. None of the above. Guys, put your answers in the chat section. You could be one of the lucky winners to win an Amazon voucher. We will announce the winner's name at the end of this session. So now you must be wondering how SimplyLearn could help you. If you're looking to make a career in the field of big data and Hadoop, then I'd recommend you go through the courses offered by SimplyLearn. You could visit our official website and browse for the course you wish to take up. So let's navigate to SimplyLearn's page and have a look at the big data courses. As you can see, we have a number of courses under Big Data. You get a few options here, and depending on your requirement, you can take up the appropriate course. You can check out the program overview and its key features to get a better understanding. So let me move on and explore the category. Here, as you can see, we have various courses on Big Data, Hadoop, and Spark. Let's have a look at a master's program on Big Data Engineer. We have 7 modules in this course. Here, you can learn about Big Data, Spark, PySpark, MongoDB, Cassandra, Scala, and so on. Also, some of the important tools covered in this course is Hadoop, Apache Spark, MongoDB, Cassandra. So now you know which course to take up if you want to become a big data engineer. In addition to this, let us also have a look at the Big Data, Hadoop, and Spark developer course. Through this course, you can learn about Hadoop, MapReduce, Pig, Hive, HBase, and so on. So that is how SimplyLearn can help you become a big data professional. Before wrapping up this session, let me repeat the quiz one more time for all the viewers who have joined in late. So the question was, which of the following statements is true about Apache Spark? Here are the options. A. Spark processes data in batches. B. Spark processes data in real time. C. Spark processes data in both batches and real time. And D. None of the above. Guys, do put your answers in the chat section. We will select one lucky winner. The winner will get an Amazon voucher. I will announce the winner's name in a few minutes. I think here we have two winners, one from YouTube and the other person from Facebook. Meanwhile, I can see that we have a few questions from our viewers. Let me take them one by one. So the question is, I'm from a non-technical background. Can I get a big data job? Of course you can. It is certainly possible for a professional from a non-technical background to land a job in big data. You should have the necessary skill sets such as Hadoop, the different tools and the frameworks in the Hadoop ecosystem, and basic knowledge of programming and databases. Our second question is, I'm working as a software developer. Can I switch my career and become a big data engineer? I feel you can. Since you're a software developer, I assume that you already have good hands-on programming experience with knowledge of databases and operating systems. Learning the skills on big data technologies like Hadoop, Spark, and NoSQL databases will help you switch your domain to big data. Next up, we have a very interesting question. The question is, how relevant will big data be in the next 5 years? So big data has been rapidly growing over the last decade, and it is expected to reach 175 zettabytes by 2025. With the evolution of the internet, social media platforms, and MNCs, data has become the oil that will impact business in the next 5 years. Okay, next up we have a question asking the important tools one should learn in big data. So I feel the most important tools you should learn would be Hadoop, Spark, Scoop, Hive, Pig, and HBase. We also have a question asking about the scope of big data jobs in the near future. So worldwide, big data market revenues for software and services are projected to increase from $42 billion in 2018 to $103 billion in 2027, attaining a CAGR of 10.48% according to Wikibon. A lot of companies are looking for professionals who can handle their data to derive meaningful information and draw business insights. So you can expect numerous job vacancies in big data. Hope I have answered all your questions. Now let me move on to announcing the winner for our quiz. As I said, we have two winners here. One from YouTube and the other person from Facebook. From YouTube, we have Rohit Jadev, and from Facebook, we have Naresh Guru. I suggest you all leave your email IDs in our chat section and we'll get back to you. I'll repeat the winners. From YouTube, we have Rohit Jadhav, and from Facebook, we have Naresh Guru. So congratulations to Rohit Jadhav and Naresh Guru. And with that, we have reached the end of this session. I hope you guys found this informative and helpful. So before I wrap up, I would like to summarize the entire session. So we first started off by understanding what big data is and why Hadoop and Spark came into existence. Then we looked into the various job roles, that is big data engineer, big data architect, Hadoop developer, and Spark developer. I also ran you through our course page where you could pick up one of these courses to start your career in the big data field. So that's it from my side. Thank you for watching. Keep learning and stay tuned to SimplyLearn. And if you have any more questions, please leave them in the chat section below. We'll get back to you with the answers. Okay, I see a lot of people asking more questions, so I suggest we wait for 5 more minutes so that we can answer their questions. So guys, here I have a question asking me what opportunities they'll get if they take up the course from SimplyLearn. Well, I'll tell you. So as I showed y'all, these are the courses that SimplyLearn offers in the field of big data. We have various courses here. Here we have Big Data Hadoop and Spark developer course. So if you take up this course, you can learn all about big data, Hadoop, Spark, Apache Hive, NoSQL. And then we also have a master's program. If you start off with the master's program, you can learn about big data developer, Spark developer, and you will also have PySpark training here. And this should help you achieve your career in big data engineer. This is a full master's course for all those who wish to become a big data engineer. And once you take up these courses, you will be fully eligible for all the big data engineering interviews. And I think this is the best way you can start your career in the field of big data. So if you take up this course from SimplyLearn, you will also have an industry recognized certificate from IBM and SimplyLearn. In addition to this, you will also have job assistance, and you will also be provided with hands-on industry trainings. So let's have a look at the prerequisites for this course. As you can see, these are the prerequisites. So if you want to take up this course, you should have some knowledge about SQL and programming knowledge of Python and Java, as I mentioned earlier. It's okay if you're not familiar with these skills. You can always enroll in our data engineer master certification program and receive the knowledge for these skills. And in addition to this, as I mentioned earlier, there's nothing as such of a prerequisite to become a big data engineer. If you take up this course, we start from the scratch and cover all the basics, and you will have everything you need to know to become a big data engineer. So here we also cover tools such as Flume, Kafka, then Apache, HBase, Cassandra, MongoDB, Spark SQL, Hive, HDFS. So these are the tools that will be covered in this program. This is more or less all the tools that you will require to start your career in big data. So here we have another question. They're asking us if it is compulsory to have a coding experience. Well, no, it is not compulsory. It is possible for a professional from a non-technical background to land a job in big data. But you should have the necessary skill sets such as Hadoop, the different tools and the frameworks in the Hadoop ecosystem, and basic knowledge of programming would be required. If you do not have basic knowledge of programming, it is still fine because you can always start from learning the entire program. So if you guys have more questions, please leave the questions in the comment section below and we'll be happy to help. Once again, congratulations to Rohit Jadhav and Naresh Guru for winning the quiz.